For many people, urban environments are the place where they most frequently interact with nature, and for some people, it is the only place. Because of this, urban environments present an important opportunity for environmental education. In this video, we will look at the role that urban environments play in environmental education and in building human-nature relationships. Currently, a little over half of the world's population lives in urban areas, and this figure is expected to rise to about 2/3 by 2050. In Canada, we are already well above the global figure, as about 83% of Canadians live in cities, with about a third of the population living in just 3 cities: Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. Cities are important landscapes for people. They're where most of us live, and they are cultural, economic, and innovation hubs. But they also tend to punch above their weight in terms of resource use. Although cities are just 3% of the Earth's surface, about 75% of global energy consumption, carbon emissions, and natural resource consumption occurs in cities. Because of this resource consumption, cities are sometimes thought of as spaces that destroy nature. But as we have seen throughout this week, cities can be landscapes where nature can flourish. For the most part this week, we've been focused on the ecological benefits of urban nature, but they also have social and cultural benefits to the people who live and work in cities. And urban green spaces can play a major role in supporting healthy urban living. Vegetation in the urban environment can filter pollutants from the air and can help to mitigate the urban heat island effect, which can help to reduce the prevalence of respiratory or heat-related illnesses. Urban nature can also have human health benefits in more indirect ways by encouraging positive health behaviors. For example, people may be more likely to exercise where the natural surroundings provide an interesting, pleasant, and safe environment, which may lead to reduced obesity, diabetes, mental illnesses, and other health issues associated with sedentary lifestyles. Exposure to nature can also have restorative effects, potentially reducing the effects of stress in a person's life. Urban green spaces are also often community meeting places, helping to facilitate the recreation and socialization that connect people together and build community. Many of these kinds of indirect benefits of nature can be heavily reliant on an individual's perception of and experiences within natural environments. And as more and more people live in cities, urban nature is increasingly becoming the only nature that people are exposed to, or at least it is the nature that they are exposed to most often. There are therefore important opportunities to build human-nature connections in cities. Building connections between people and nature in cities can also benefit conservation initiatives in more traditional settings and build more pro-environmental behavior in general. Conservation success hinges on broad-based public support. There can be a bit of a disconnect between people who live in cities and the conservation efforts occurring in faraway protected areas. So by working on the more scale of personal experience with people in the city, conservationists can work towards building support for more broad-scale conservation. This concept is called the pigeon paradox, because a great deal of future conservation will rely in part on human interactions with urban ecosystems and the species that call them home, including pigeons. This paradox is based on 3 key assertions: that current conservation action is insufficient, that people are more likely to take conservation action when they have direct experiences with the natural world, and that as human populations shift to cities, humans will primarily experience nature through contact with urban nature. Essentially, by building an urban populace that is engaged with nature through stewardship and other environmental education activities, we can end up with benefits to biodiversity all over the world. There are 3 key themes to fostering environmental education opportunities in cities and building urban human-nature connections: the participation of urban residents in the planning and stewardship of the city, the building of a sense of place in the urban environment, and the forming of partnerships among organizations and groups that care about the urban environment in order to promote sustainability, justice, livability, and resilience in cities. Let's look at each of these themes in more detail. A key component of environmental education is hands-on engagement and stewardship. Nature connections and environmental education can take place when people, especially children, have the opportunity to get up and close with nature. This could be as simple as playing outside and spending time observing insects in a park or stopping to smell the roses. But it could also be much more involved through things like tree plantings or other urban ecological restoration projects that help to increase nature in the city. In conservation, we often talk about how people will want to protect what they love and what they know, and this is especially true in urban environments. People generally want to protect the green spaces that they use on a regular basis, the spaces where they feel a connection to and may regularly connect with nature. Creating a sense of place is an important component of city building in general, but it is of particular importance when talking about green spaces and trying to build a community that is engaged with nature. When people engage in stewardship activities like creating a community garden or planting trees, they are reconstructing the urban space. It is therefore important to ensure that urban environmental stewardship is done in a culturally appropriate manner. It is critical that the people living nearby an urban green space feel a connection to that space, that they feel welcome and able to take advantage of the benefits that that space offers. This is why it is critical to engage with communities from day one of any potential urban greening project, so that the benefits of any stewardship efforts end up with the right communities, and to avoid the potential negatives that come with such projects, sometimes called eco-gentrification or green gentrification. All of these stewardship and urban greening efforts are only possible through the forming of partnerships among groups and organizations that care about the urban environment in order to promote sustainability, justice, livability, and resilience in cities. Cities are diverse spaces with people who represent a plethora of values, traditions, and socioeconomic conditions. So alongside ecological considerations, environmental education and stewardship needs to be sensitive to diverse cultures and issues of power. Failing to do so can result in misinterpretations, social injustices, and even environmental injustices. Organizational partnerships between social and environmental justice groups can help to avoid these failings. We will look at one organization, the Vacant to Vibrant Project, which tries to bridge this gap between social and environmental justice in the next video.